and welcome back to another episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And we're still continuing on with the rocky start for the year that we've had for reasons that were unfortunately not out of our control. But we are continuing to honor our dearly departed friend Ben Rayner with continuing our continued discussion on the departures of companions of Doctor Who. And once again, to handle this topic with me is the one that suggested it in the first place, my good friend, Mr. Ryan Payne. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing very, very well, actually. And I'm really, like you said, things were out of our hands that kept pushing this down the road. But you know what? We're still here. We're still doing this topic. And yeah, it's I mean, hell, I still would, I still like talking about Doctor Who. I don't care how long this would have taken.
Yeah, me too. And you know what? I think it's better that we had this break to sort of acclimatize to the new year. And as per usual, with the topics of discussion on this show, we start off with my mouse overacting again, but the birthday section, as we do every single week on this show. Now, again, not 100% sure when this episode will air, but I'm still continuing on with the theme of week to week. So last episode we counted down from the 27th of January to the 2nd of 27th of December to the 2nd of January. We're continuing on that trend. We're still not up to date with the week that we're actually filming this, but we're doing it from the 3rd of January all the way up to the 9th of January, and eventually we'll catch up to the actual birthdays. So starting us off, we have a very special man who still continues to do great work with Doctor Who today, Mr. Terry Malloy. He first played Davros on the TV show in Resurrection of the Daleks, Davros' second ever appearance in the realm of Doctor Who, on the TV side at least. He also reprised the role in Revelation of the Daleks and Remembrance of the Daleks, and has continued to play the character consistently on Big Finish, even though the role has since passed on to Mr. Julian Bleach, who plays Davros on the TV show whenever he appears in. Right now, we are blessed with the vocal talents of Terry Malloy as the voice of the character. He was born on the 4th of January. So we're starting with the 4th, completely skipping the 2nd and 3rd. And as for the 5th of January, Mandip Gill, who obviously played the character of Yasmin Khan, the companion of the 13th Doctor, the only companion, by the way, to have appeared alongside her signature Doctor in every single story that they have appeared in. No other companion can claim that title, no matter which way you slice it. So yeah, very good on her. Hold on, if my mouse could just please work with me here. Also on the 5th, we have Mr. Clayton James. He played. Hold on. No, sorry, he didn't play. Sorry, my bad. Overstepped myself. He was made the cover artist. So he was a cover artist. It's. I've had this whole thing ready to go for a while, and then we had to cancel. So I'm a little thrown off by it. But he was a cover artist for many of the Big Finish releases. He basically did the cover art for the discs, or the boxes where the discs came from, as well as just the art for the stories whenever you see them on the website itself. He pretty much did the whole thing right up until they changed into a different art style around the 90 something of the Big Finish releases of the monthly range. So yeah, he did most of the cover artists for the early adventures. Sorry, not the early adventures, the monthly adventures from the beginning of the Big Finish releases. Now, on also on the 5th of January, we have Mr. Ross Mullen. You may not be able to recognize his face. He mainly played creatures all throughout the Peter Capaldi era. He was one of the Silents in The Time of the Doctor. He was the Teller in Time Heist, the big creature with the two eyes on a stalk, and he was also the mysterious Wraith character in one of the best episodes ever. Uh, Hellbent. No, wait, sorry. Well, it says Hellbent.
It's heaven sent, yeah.
Yeah, but the website says Hellbent. I felt
Oh
there was
my
something wrong with that.
yeah.
Okay, that was weird. Uh, but it's a good thing that my senses haven't been thrown off. But anyways, yeah, the Wraith, and the Teller, big enough for me. Now on the 6th, this is really big for me personally, Mr. Rowan Atkinson. Obviously, he played a version of the Ninth Doctor in the infamous spoof, The Curse of Fatal Death, written and produced by Stephen Moffat years before he was showrunner, and obviously a lot of Stephen Moffat's 8-year run as showrunner kind of shows through in that brief spoof. Obviously, he played the part along with many other doctors, but of course, I mean, he's Mr. Bean, he's Johnny English, he's Zazu from The Lion King. So
Mhm.
of course, I gotta put him on the list, even if he wasn't associated with that spoof movie. Now, that spoof short. Now, on the 7th, we have Mr. John Voce. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. He played numerous characters on Big Finish, from the Entropy Plague, the last of the Colophon. Didn't hear of that. I never heard of that one. He was in one of the the River Song releases. He was in The Age of Endurance, The Devil in the Mist, and he also appeared in Doctor Who in The Woman Who Lived. He played one of the characters there. On the 7th, once again, we have Mr. Jeffrey Baildon. Now, Jeffrey Baildon has actually appeared in Doctor Who in The Creature from the Pit. However, he's most recognized as playing the Doctor on two Unbound releases around 2003 and 2005. Big Unbound was basically just the Doctor Who equivalent of What If, and he basically played versions of the first Doctor if the first Doctor had never left Gallifrey in the first place, alongside Carol Ann Ford as an older Susan. He played in the Doctor in two episodes called Old Morality and A Storm of Angels, where he's not necessarily my favorite of the Unbound Doctors. He's my second favorite of the Unbound Doctors. So I highly recommend checking those out as well. Now, on the 8th, speaking of the first Doctor, we have the man that started it all, Mr. William Hartnell. William Hartnell, January 8th, 1908. He would have been 115 by now if he was still alive. But yeah, I mean, he is the first Doctor. He is the Doctor, the original, you might say, the definite article, whatever you want to say about him. Without him, we do not have this show. And as a matter of fact, I think he was also the first person that I brought up on birthday uh, acknowledgments last year. He was the first. He was the one that started this segment of me talking about people's birthdays, because he was literally the first one that I brought up. So, I mean, kudos to the guy, and just thank him so much. And not to end on a low note, but on the 9th, we have someone we all just love to hate, Miss Imelda Stanton. She was obviously Dolores Jane Umbridge in the Harry Potter franchise, but I'm actually curious about this. Do you know what her Doctor Who connection is, Mr. Payne?
Oh, I do know her connection. Oh, but it's oh my god. Oh my goodness. It's slipping. Oh.
Do not be alarmed. This is
Wait, no,
timely.
wait. She was Queen Victoria in David Tennant's
No,
wasn't she?
that was Pauline Collins.
Oh. It's really losing me here. Go ahead, man.
Well, to be fair, I kind of threw you into the deep end. She was the voice of the interface in The Girl Who Waited, that episode where Amy Pond got left behind for
Ugh.
36 years. She was the voice of the interface. But well, now that I managed to trip you up from the lovely, lovely, wonderful list of people we had today, and especially Mr. William Hartle himself, thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. Now, on to the topic. So we're continuing on with this with the theme that I set up in the previous version of this discussion that we had in the previous episode. I'm not going to say last week because technically I have no idea when that was, but we're talking about companions here, more specifically the departures of certain companions. And just like last time, I picked one departure per doctor. Notice how I didn't say one companion, because some of these have two companions in the or more in the same departure moment, scene, whichever way you want to go. So, can you tell me, Mr. Ryan Payne, who would be our first on the list? Who are we starting with?
Well, now there might be a technicality for 9 though, but if we are starting off with a companion departure, obviously I'm see I'm it's going with the one that almost every Doctor Who fan knows in general, and that would be the departure of Rose Tyler.
Well, you are right. What is with this camel? You are right. That is the one that every Doctor Who fan, especially fan of the modern Who, would be the first to
Yes.
think about. However, she did not really depart the Ninth Doctor during his tenure. So unfortunately, we've got to talk about this idiot right here.
Okay, that wasn't the person I was thinking of, but then okay, you are right. Yeah.
I mean, we are kind of searching for departures, and while technically speaking, Captain Jack didn't depart during his tenure with the Ninth Doctor, this guy kind of did. And you know what? It's
Yeah.
interesting that I bring him up in this discussion because his, I think, is the most, for better or for worse, and definitely for the worst reasons, for all the wrong reasons, his departure is easily the most unique out of all the doctors,
It is.
all the companions. He's really the one that the doctor just kicked out of the TARDIS. He doesn't really do that with any other companion. Aside, I mean, you can point to some one-off companions on Big Finish and other locations, but this guy on the TV show, he really gave the Doctor a reason to just tell him, "You're out. You're gone. You're finished, man. You're not coming back." And of course, we can't really talk about this image right here without talking
Yeah.
about this wonderful moment from that episode.
Yeah.
So, what do you got to
I mean,
say about Adam?
I know in the sense, yeah, he is an idiot for the episode that he was featured in. But come on, after with this was like 2 episodes shy of Father's Day, where Rose Tyler pretty much did, in a way, the same thing that Adam did. She disobeyed the doctor. He disobeyed the doctor, broke one of his rules, and I mean, the fact that the doctor kicked him out so quickly, but was able to forgive Rose after for what she did for her Father's Day, even though we understand was both of them did what was it was a human moment. They wanted to do something that was personal to them, and yeah, while Adam, unfortunately, his idiotic thing was to get an implant so he can be able to bring information from the future back to the past. That's a little more ridiculous. I mean, it's not honestly to me. I thought the doctor overreacted by kicking him out that way. I figured, why would the doctor do that? I mean, sure, why don't you get that implant removed and then send him back? I mean, instead, we have no idea what happens to him. I mean, as far as the show goes. I mean, especially with the existence of Torchwood, who wouldn't be surprised? Like years later down the road, someone snapped their fingers, they see that happen, and he's arrested by Torchwood. You know,
Yeah, and then that's why the doctor says to him, he's got a you pretty much dumped all over his life opportunities because he had to live a very sheltered life. Never really go outside. Never allowed to anyone snapping his fingers or in his presence for fear that he might expose the hole in his head.
or
But
yeah, or you have to get used to be wearing hats or helmets.
yeah, but I think even if he wore a hat, especially like the one you're wearing, a beanie,
Yeah,
someone snaps, the thing still opens up and it becomes really uncomfortable in the hat, and it still just leaves your brain exposed.
yes, it does.
So like wearing a hat doesn't really change much. I mean, even hold on, even something like this, like a baseball cap, it still sort of doesn't stop the thing from opening. And
No,
now, obviously, he's only appeared in 2 episodes of the TV show, and I mean, I guess you're right. He kind of did something pretty selfish for his own personal gain, but I think the main difference there is that for Rose, it was a spur of the moment type thing. As for him,
yeah,
he planned to do this, and it really was like you said, a selfish thing for personal
but he
gain.
was tempted
Rose,
though. I mean, because at the start of the episode, he was willing to listen to the doctor, but then it was kind of like throughout the entire episode, while he was separated from Rose and the doctor, it was more of a temptation, most likely. It wasn't like he planned it. It was because he's learning about this future, and then of course learn about I'm forgetting the name of the satellite, but the fact
Satellite
that there's
5.
satellite 5, and he's seeing all these people and how they're able to store information in their head that way. It was kind of like it just kept uh it was just something that just kept intriguing him, and something that honestly, it didn't even sound like the doctor was trying to dissuade him, or well, not dissuade him, but just more of to put that temptation away. Rose was different because she's traveled with the doctor long enough to know, okay, after Father's Day, I've done something completely stupid, even though, yeah, it was for the moment. But then at the same time, when the doctor told her from the pilot that it travels in time, who's to say that sooner or later she would have brought up the moment of going to go back in time and save her dad? I mean, in that episode, she goes back in time the first time that happens, and then she says, "I want to see. I want you to bring it back again." So while yeah, it was a spur of the moment for Rose, the moment she said again, that should have been red. That should have been sirens going off in someone's head. Like, why do you want to watch your father die again? You know. So for Adam, it was just kind of like more throughout the long of the episode, especially talking to someone from the future about this whole thing, about this whole memory, about this brain, this implant. It just became more and more obvious to me. Like this was a test. This was Adam's moment to test himself. Like, was he going to succeed? Was he going to fail? At this moment, he failed, at least in the doctor's eyes, to what he did.
But I would also like to remind you and anyone watching that the doctor did actually kind of leave Rose in that moment. Like he said, "Give me the key. You obviously don't need it anymore." And he was about to leave her in 1987. He walked all the way back to the TARDIS.
Well,
And
yeah, but then it turns out the TARDIS, it's no longer a TARDIS; it's a police box.
yeah, so he was planning to leave her at one point, and I think it's been a while since I've seen the episode again, but I think he almost said that he was considering it. Like she says to him, "For a moment there, I thought you were just going to leave me," and he said, "For a minute there, I actually thought I would," or something like along those lines.
Yeah.
But going back to Adam a little bit, like I said, he was in those 2 episodes, the Dalek episode and the Long Game. But obviously, that wasn't the character's final appearance because he was actually, and believe it or not, that wasn't even his. Okay, that's a weird way to phrase it, but he actually had a bit more to do in between Dalek and the Long Game
Hmm.
because Big Finish love to add lore to things, whether or not it makes sense or not. But the Doctor pretty much wanted to get rid of Adam immediately after leaving Van Stanton's museum, because they added another episode somewhere in between that where the Doctor just brought Adam to where he thought his house would be in 2012. Just missed the location by a few miles, but there's a little bit of added adventure in between, which is what gave the Doctor the impression, okay, maybe this guy is worth more than I give him credit for. Maybe it's a good thing that I want to take this guy with me. Maybe he's got some potential. I guess that's the one I was reaching for. Now, the episode itself kind of makes him even less likable, in my opinion, than he was in the previous in the other two episodes. But on the other hand, it does show that he can follow orders when he needs to, and that he will do what is necessary to save Rose or the Doctor. And then when he betrays the Doctor trust by getting this thing done, I think that was really the final straw for the Ninth Doctor. And also remember, it was a very different Doctor than the Doctors that came before or after him. He even Eccleston himself says as much. He's very much a lone wolf type of a Doctor, where he's a little less forgiving in terms of companions when it comes to whether or not taking them with him. And remember, for a while he was very distrustful of Captain Jack as well. So
true, yeah.
I guess in order to get on this Doctor's good side, you have to really, really impress him and really, really prove yourself. Now, moving on to some other expanded lore, because of course we have to. Years and years later, after his mom died, he lived a very miserable and sheltered life, grew into an old man. He somehow managed to acquire a time agent's vortex manipulator, traveled back in time, and kidnapped every single companion of the Doctors, of all the Doctors together, becoming the mysterious figure known as the Hood. And he even got his revenge on the Ninth Doctor, as you can see here. Right, he really got up in the Ninth Doctor's face. That's him as an old man. He really was a really good villain in that one comic book run that came out around the time of the 50th anniversary. It was Prisoners of Time, I think was his name. I'd recommend checking that out. But at the end of the day, while he did kidnap every single Doctor and every single companion of the Doctor, he eventually proved himself and achieved proper, true companion status by sacrificing himself to stop the Master, the Anthony Ainley Master, to be specific. And
Interesting.
He was buried, witnessed by every single Doctor and their companions, and his tomb is sort of shaped like a TARDIS right there. So his gravestone, I should say. So at least someone managed to do something good with that character in the long run. So again, highly recommend checking out that one. And just it's a really good comic book because there's like individual stories for each Doctor, and some of them are really, really good. So yeah.
That's interesting. Huh.
So should we move on to the 10th Doctor? And I'll play the same game that I did with you again. Which companion departure do you think we're about to discuss regarding the 10th Doctor?
Well, obviously, before and then I thought we were going to skip 9, honestly. That's why I said from a technicality with 9. There was, then, like I said, Adam wasn't the companion. I was thinking about Linda, actually, even though technically she didn't go on the TARDIS. She was someone the Doctor invited to travel along with her. But now that we're on to 10.
I would have, sorry to cut you off, but I would have loved to have seen Linda as a proper companion.
Yeah.
But, I mean, unfortunate circumstances say otherwise.
But that being said, with 10, there is definitely, obviously, 3 choices. Personally, my personal choice is not on here, but it is a tie. So, for 10, I'm ultimately going to go with Rose.
Okay. Before I reveal, what was your favorite choice?
Martha, actually. Martha.
She's my favorite companion in the Martin series. But you're right. That is a very tough choice because you said there are 3. There's Rose, there's Martha, and then, of course, there's Donna. So when thinking about which of the 3 do I choose, it was really Sophie's choice in a way. It was just having to choose one of your children, essentially, like that uh, Holocaust movie that I can't remember. But
Yeah, it's called Sophie's Choice.
oh, it was my brain. But
Okay.
eventually, I came up with a solution that actually solves all my problems, as well as wrapping up a few other problems in a nice, neat, tight little bow, and just go
Oh.
with the ending of Journey's End, where we get to wrap up several
Eh,
companion departures in one scene. That's why I specifically said companion
nice.
departures, not companion. So obviously,
Nice.
yeah, that was a stroke of genius on my end. But even if I do say so myself, but of course, we gotta start off with easily, by far, the best companion of all time, Sarah Jane Smith. Even though we
Oof.
sort of had a departure to her with the David Tennant Doctor a few seasons ago, this also, I suppose, does count as a temporary departure because, of course, he does meet her again at her wedding, and then sees her again right before regenerating. But just this moment right here, where she says to
Yeah.
him, "You know, you act like such a lonely man, but look at you. You've got the biggest family on earth."
Yeah.
I mean, Sarah Jane. What else can we say about this character? And of course, obviously, followed immediately by Martha again and Captain Jack, where he disables Jack's teleport. Now, believe it or not, I couldn't really find images of that particular moment. So I went with this one instead because you can actually kind of see. No, wait, is that Jack and Martha right behind them in
No,
in
it's
the distance?
no, it's not. That's just a couple because the angle is different because behind Mickey is
Yeah,
Jack and Martha. Lee is walking away.
in this
Mickey,
in this one.
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so obviously he says goodbye to Mickey, and I love Mickey's line in line of dialogue in there that is like, "There's nothing else left for him in that parallel Earth,
Yeah,
especially not Rose." So he's got to look after himself at this point. He's got to look out for number one, and what better way to do that than go back to his Earth? And obviously, I mean, he says that his grandmother's passed away now, so
you
there really
got
is nothing keeping him there. So he went back to his regular Earth, followed Jack and Martha, and he even married Martha later, and they have a daughter called August. Now, I'm not 100%, I'm not the biggest fan of that decision, but
yeah,
what are you going to do? And of course, obviously, later in that same sequence, we've got the departure of Rose and Jackie again, and the Meta Crisis Doctor, where we get a sort of revised version of the last time that these two characters were on Darling Ulf Stranden, Bad Wolf Bay in Norway,
yep,
where eventually the Rose eventually goes with the Meta Crisis Doctor, and the regular Doctor, are the main Doctor leaves them both behind in that parallel Earth. And then, of course, this moment when with Donna
yeah,
realizing that both of them realizing, as a matter of fact, that the Doctor Donna cannot exist anymore. She can't go on the way she is, one way or the other. So the Doctor, painfully and heartbreakingly, doing what he knows he must do, and just erases her memory and embraces her one final time, bringing her back home, leaving her behind with her mom and her grandfather. And then we get this, obviously. So
yeah.
obviously we've got many companions to talk about. So which of these, all of these guys, would you like to start off with?
Oh, first off, that is a great. That's a great art
Yeah, I'm
composition.
so happy I found it.
You know what? We should talk about the one we didn't talk about a bit. Even though technically she was technically stowed away from Army of Ghosts. Jackie Tyler, she was a her and I'll say out of Ten's run, I do like the change of character, the growth that came between Jackie and Mickey, both of them actually,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
because
definitely.
just because those two, unfortunately, their lives were deeply affected by Nine. Unfortunately, because when we get to World
And
War
not in a good
Three,
way.
yeah, not in a good way. Because when they first meet him, of course, obviously, he's just they think of it just they both had their impressions of Nine, but it's not until World War Three or no Aliens in London you truly see Nine, unfortunately, the one thing about Doctor, unfortunately, not getting time right, and
Mm-hmm.
and when it matters. Like when that moment when Rose returns home from aliens in London, and it turns out she's been gone for oh my god, like six
A year.
months. Oh yeah, she was
4 months.
missing for a year. The ramifications of that happening. Mickey, oh my god, Mickey, Jesus, for someone who was just kidnapped by the nesting consciousness, left a little traumatized, and then now all of a sudden Rose been gone for a year. He had to suffer through a lot in order
Yeah.
for Rose to return, and especially with this one of the things. Like I will quick first off with Rose. I came in the Doctor Who around the time when Martha was his companion, so I knew about Rose only through context of the show and how much the Doctor kept talking about how much well, not how much, but only subtle hints of him missing her and how it was affecting Martha's behavior. So I'm going, Rose must have been a great companion. Then finally, I see her in Fortune Journey's End, or I'm going, oh, okay. And then I get to see her through 9. I see her through 10. I see her first 2 series. Man, Rose was not the best person to travel with the Doctor, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Pilot episode. She leaves Mickey abandoned on the street to travel with the Doctor. Comes back. Jesus Christ, their relationship is like nowhere. And then she, of course, 10 by the time 10 regenerates, she doesn't have the best reaction to it. I mean, well, 9 regenerates at 10. She has the worst reaction to him regenerating.
Yeah.
And then, of
Out of
course,
all the
me,
companions.
yeah. And then, of
Well,
course,
except
me and Sarah Jane, I didn't like the idea of a companion being jealous. But then, of course, I'm thinking, of course, they write into the context. She's 19 or she's 20. She's a young girl. Okay, fine. But we've seen many other companions in classic other era of Doctor Who. With all the other episodes, all the other classic Doctors, I've watched the classic companions, other companions meeting other companions. This really was written as a soap opera to where, okay, we just want to see someone jealous of somebody else. I'm like, it started turning me away from the idea of the Doctor from Modern Who, the Doctor getting modern day companions.
mm-hmm. Which
But
unfortunately
beyond all,
is still happening
oh,
today. We're no we Yeah, in the modern stuff, most of the companions are contemporary modern day uh, people, as
people,
opposed to in the classic era, you've got people from the past, future, other planets, other universes, even.
yeah,
So I do not understand why they keep going back to the same. I guess maybe to be relatable for the audience, but I mean,
yeah. I'm
if
thinking maybe it's a studio mandate because it doesn't seem to me the creators like I don't think the showrunners I don't think Moffat or Chibnall kind of want to stick to the idea. I mean, the fact they keep hearing that Davies, Moffat, and Chibnall are fans of the show, and yet they're constantly doing the same studio mandate. Like it seems to me that they've
well,
blown stretch
well,
out.
on the bright side, though, the BBC doesn't have creative control anymore since the new Davis era right now. So I'm suppose with um, Shuri Gatwa's Doctor, we're going to see some sort of change in that direction, and to bring it back, bring the point home again.
Yeah.
If there's anything to be learned from the character Nardole, people will embrace these unconventional companions from another planet or from another time frame. Like, people are ready for these types of companions. Let's see them. Let's start to see these pop up more often.
Yeah. And
And to sorry, go ahead.
no, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
No, yeah, I was gonna say that, to go back to your point about Jackie, that same Big Finish one-off that I mentioned earlier with Adam, which they also brought back Bruno Langley for that one as well,
Mm-hmm.
the actor. It was kind of a two-parter, not necessarily connected, but just two completely separate stories. One featuring Adam and the Ninth Doctor. The other one had Jackie, with obviously Camille Kaduri reprising her role. And in that one, you sort of start to understand that character's motivations when it comes to her relationship with the Ninth Doctor, because she does. There's a great scene in there, and Camille Kaduri really sells the whole scene and just saying that the main reason why she's so anti-doctor in that moment is because she's jealous. I mean, she's honestly, as we've seen, she's a very overprotective mother, and there's um the doctor is just so impressive to Rose, and and Rose just loves him so much that there's no way that she could compare to him. So that's why she's so aggressive towards the Ninth Doctor, is because she it's that same parenthood moment of realizing that your children are now more interested in someone else and not you anymore. So it's a obviously the episode itself does it a lot better than I just did. So don't listen to me. Go ahead and track that episode down if you like. But
It sounds kind of like a bad. I mean, I understand. I understand the fact that yeah, as a parent, your children are moving on. So, but the idea of Jackie being a little jealous. I mean, I like the idea. I like the idea I got from Aliens in London, to where Jackie was angry that her daughter was gone for a year. She had no idea, and then the same man that she meets from the pilot episode, is the reason. I would have been more like, this man is dangerous. I don't want you near her. And yeah, he helped save London from the Siluri. I mean, not from the Slovene. But then at the same time, I'm like, please don't go with him. You know. But I mean, it would have made more sense later on, after when he regenerates in 10, to where of we just. But it kind of seems to me to this point that Jackie. I don't know, her treatment by both 9 and 10 feels very unjustified, to where she has a reason to be pissed and crossed at them. I mean, I like the fact that she gets she just like Mickey, she gets a second chance with Pete, even though yeah, it's Pete from a different world. And it's funny how it's Pete. How I like how both Pete's from different universes are like they were the same person. You know, they had the same ideas. It's just in the Prime
one universe
universe.
work.
Yeah. So I like the fact that Jackie, even though she may have tried getting back out there, it's clear that she met her one true love, and how she gets to fall in love with that person all over again. And exactly in Journey's End, she has a son with him. So I like how she found another life on that counter, on that parallel Earth. And of course, for Mickey, I mean, when it comes with modern day companions, Mickey and Martha are definitely my top 5 favorites. I mean, well, they're in my top 10. They're in my top 10, mostly top 5, because not because of, obviously, of skin color, but I mean, it is one of the reasons. But also because of how their stories change, and now how they traject over time. Mickey, you meet him. I did mention he is just a boy. He's just Rose's boyfriend. You think he has no identity. He gets kidnapped by the nesting consciousness. Then all of a sudden, that stuff happens to him. He grows throughout those. Every time he pops back up. I mean, it's clear his relationship with Rose is done, because there's no way he's gonna stay with her. And I like the fact that he gives her a reckoning in Aliens in London. So, but he's not too mad at her to where he wants to stay friends. So I like the fact that he does pop back up when they come back in that episode where the continuation of the Slovene. I forgot the name of the episode.
World War Three.
No, no,
Aliens
no,
in
no,
London in
no.
World War Three. Oh, Boomtown.
Boomtown, yes. I love when he pops back up in Boomtown, to where now even 9 is kind of like, back. I know 9 treated him like an idiot, but then I like how in World War III he does show some respect to him, because I like the fact that he has respect towards Mickey. So when he does pop back up again, he's more friendly and cordial to Mickey, even though he still calls him like Mickey the idiot.
And the 10th Doctor, when he regenerates, he doesn't do that. Like, he calls him Mickey McMickey at one point. But I mean, he only called
Yeah,
him
10
Mickey
really
once,
looks.
and it was like it was a joke.
Yeah, I think 10. Honestly, it seems to be 10 because, and I think it's kind of a good thing, because you do see the Doctor is a different person when they regenerate. Because 10 does not treat Mickey with. I'm not sure about any side of respect, but 10 treats Mickey as an afterthought. Because when Mickey pops back up in school reunion, I love that moment with him and Sarah Jane, where Mickey thinks he has value, and then that moment of relation where he goes, "I'm the 10 dog."
I'm the Tin
Now,
Dog.
I know for him that's a moment of it feels like a low moment. In the same way, I'm like, you're still a value, but then at the same time, I can understand because King Nine is a robot, and he's able to do everything Mickey can do, except the difference between Mickey and K9, that K9 is kind of programmed to obey or take loyalty, even though K9 has his own consciousness and can develop its own identity. Mickey is still in the moments of figuring things out. So I like he finally asked after school reunion to come aboard, and once again Rose kind of shows why I don't like her. She's just kind of like begrudgingly accepting to more of no, he fucking earned this.
Yeah,
Sorry
he
for
did,
cursing.
and the doctor's okay with it. He agrees with it. He wants to bring Mickey on. It's Rose who is resistant to that idea.
Yeah. So it's one of the other things I did not like of the writing, to where Rose wants the doctor all to herself. I'm like, Rose, the doctor is not a toy. That's why I liked despite the fact that I hated her being jealous, I did like that it was a moment of realization for her in school reunion to realize, Rose, you're not the only one. He told you he is 900 years old when you
Yeah, do
met
you think he was alone that whole time?
Yeah. And then, of course, later on in that series, she learns that he was a father and a grandfather. And I'm like, Rose, how little. I mean, it really. I mean, I understand most companions, they don't ask about the doctor's life. They don't ask what they've done before this. Some companions have probed, but this is a doctor post the Gallifrey War, where it was believed Gallifrey was destroyed. So of course, this 9 and 10 have more reasons not to talk about their lives. But then Rose, traveling so long, she could have probed at least some information from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But then, of
especially
course, with Mick, but then with Mickey, I do like his small adventures. He's still trying to find his way. But then when they get to that counter Earth, Mickey really starts to come into his own person. I like the fact he goes to visit his grandma who died in that in his universe.
yeah,
He meets Ricky, and I like how he sees Ricky. I like how with Ricky is very confident, self-assured of himself, to being part of this, trying to form this mini rebellion. And I like how you can even see in their confrontation, Mickey is kind of awe-inspired a little bit to want to tag
Ricky
along.
is the man that Mickey wants to be.
And then in Age of Steel, when 10 is trying to form this plan, Mickey, in defiance and finally and taking a stand for himself, and goes, "What about me?" And he's like, "I'm done being the tin dog," as an afterthought.
Yeah,
So when Ricky does die, I like the fact that he chooses to stay behind, and I even like he says to his friend, "Look, I'm not Ricky, but I want to be. I want to try to be him." And then when he shows back up in Army of Ghosts, leading into that dialect Doomsday,
yeah,
oh,
he's a badass.
yes. And then I do like when you did brought up how he leaves in Journey's End after saving the universe. I even like his line where Ten's like, "Where you going?" His first line is, "Oh, I'm not stupid. I know what's gonna happen." Like Mickey knew ahead of time what Ten was going to do. I mean, not to Donna, but he knew at this point, like, yeah, everything's fine now. The universes are saved. The galaxy is saved. What do you think's going to happen? Like, we're all going to travel with you willy nilly? No, he was going to send Rose and Jackie back.
Yeah, which he did. Now, I gotta ask you this though, because I said Martha is my
I spent
favorite
a lot of time
modern
talking about that.
companion. Yeah, Martha's my favorite modern companion, and I do indeed love the character change that Mickey goes through from Eccleston's first season to all the way up to Tennant's final episode, as a matter of fact. But what do you think of Mickey and Martha getting together eventually? Are you a fan of that
Was not
idea?
a fan of
Because
it.
yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of it then, and even now knowing that Russell T is committing to that idea, that he says that they have a daughter now, and they were in Sarah Jane's funeral. Like, okay, fine, I guess, but
Yeah, but I'm still not a fan of that. I like the fact that, I mean, Martha, I don't want to go into a huge spiel there, but one of the reasons why I love Mickey and Martha as companions was their arcs throughout the stretch of David Tennant's run as the Doctor. And I mean, Mickey was carrying on from Eccleston, but Martha's own journey herself, like especially being following the Doctor, going through insane adventures with him. Uh, the Family of Blood like storyline, that's still one of my favorites because it's Martha
Mhm.
having to rely on her wits to watch over the Doctor. And then, of course, the return of the Master to the last of the Time Lords. Once again, Martha is kind of one of those companions who's thrown up against the wall, has to rely on her wits and her intelligence, and to survive. So I like the idea that after, and just like with Mickey, she takes a stand with the Doctor. She chooses to leave because she knew that this is not going to end well, especially after what happened with the Master. And then I like how after when she leaves, she says, just because I'm leaving doesn't mean I'm done with you. We will see
Yeah,
each other again. And then guess what? She's a part of Unit. And I do like when she reunites with Doctor, and Doctor is kind of a little worried, like, oh my god, I've turned her into a soldier. No, she's not a soldier. She's still a doctor. She's like, I'm
yeah,
taking
she,
what I know and I'm doing good with it.
yeah, trying to make Unit better, as she puts it. And
Exactly.
she was a part of Unit and Torchwood around that time as well. And eventually, she became an independent uh, alien bounty hunter with Mickey. And there's even a comic book run where Mickey and Martha do meet the Doctor again, but it's the Ninth Doctor. So, like after season four, after Tennant's regeneration, they meet the Ninth Doctor before any of that happened to him, and Mickey's like, "Oh no, not this one."
Oh, that's
So
funny.
yeah,
That's
it's
one thing I am hoping with Davies returns that we do get to see. I want to see Mickey and Martha again, but I don't know if they want to change the lore at this point because I kind of want to see Martha be kind of like a like I know Kate Stewart's coming back in the in the new run,
yeah.
so I would love to see Martha kind of meet Kate Stewart, or like or at least establish that they've met before.
Well, remember there were a few empty seats in that companion
Oh
uh,
yeah.
support group at the end, and
But I
I
want to
think
say even before that though, like but even during the time when 11 was around, when Kate was, when
hmm,
Kate was established unit, yeah.
okay. But like I said, Russell T has firmly established in Farewell Sarah Jane Smith, which came out in 2020, that Martha and Mickey and their daughter were in Sarah Jane's funeral service. So he definitely still has his eye on that character. And again, and just I highly recommend checking that out. It's on YouTube. It's not that long. It's mostly narrated by Jacob Dudman, but it also features scenes with Sophie Eldred as Ace and
Mhm.
Katie Manning as Joe Grant, both of which appeared in Power of the Doctor. So clearly, Russell T definitely has his eye on some of these characters, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to return to some of these characters in their storylines. Now, speaking of a character that
Hmm.
Russell T is still having his eye on, is still planning to bring back, we'll finish with Donna, and then we'll move on to
Yeah.
11 because we're almost at an hour now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's keep going.
But I now I wonder: is there even much point of us talking about Donna because we know she's coming back now?
Well, I mean, we can still. I mean, Donna, just like with, in my opinion, with Mickey Martha, she too had herself a journey of discovering her own value. Because I will say, of all the companions brought along, Donna, man, she was one of the few companions of modern who had the lowest of self esteem, of self identity. Like
Yeah,
we first meet her, she's in a wedding dress. Like she feels like her whole purpose was to. I don't say her whole purpose was to get married, but her purpose was to, you
to
know,
find a man.
yeah, find a husband. Make something of herself. And meeting the Doctor, she kind of realizes that there is more to her than just the modern idea of a lady, of finding a man and getting being in a relationship.
And to be fair, she does do that eventually in the end of time. She does get married
Well, yeah, it's
eventually.
because she was when her memories erased, she's reset to the Donna who she was.
Yeah. So at least she succeeded in doing the thing that she wanted to do before she met the Doctor.
At least with this Don, at least that at least then, at least the person that Donna married is actually a good person.
Yeah,
And I do like that that person, and I think it's been alluded that her children or her child or her daughter is going to be in the 60 in the new in the holiday special.
yeah. That's been the main rumor that I've been hearing about. And in that scene from the trailer with the skinny man, I think we can
Yeah,
kind of see Yasmin Finney's character standing there, and her name is Rose. So maybe there is
yeah.
still some part of the Doctor Donna consciousness that still wants to give hints towards her. Now, if we're going into some theories and speculations here, because I think we're allowed to do that now,
Mhm.
here's a theory that I've heard that probably won't happen, but I like it a lot. Is that obviously, as you probably well know, I believe, I hope you know that, and that I'm not spoiling it to you. The Doctor has a persona, a mysterious persona known as the Valyard, and it's alluded to by
Oh,
the Master to be somewhere between the Doctor's 12th and final incarnation. Now, I like the way they worded that. Somewhere between his 12th and final incarnation. He didn't say 13th incarnation, which led a lot of people
yeah.
to believe that this mysterious persona would have been the Meta Crisis Doctor. Some people would have believed that the Dream Lord from the Matt Smith episode was that. Some people even went so far as to suggest that Capaldi was that famed mysterious evil incarnation of the Doctor. But since it's somewhere between the 12th and final one, that could literally be any Doctor from now until the end of the show, if that is ever going to happen. So, what if the reason that Jodie Whittaker regenerated back into David Tennant is because that incarnation still has some unfinished business in the form of the Valyard, which was supposed to happen when the 10th Doctor, which as we know now thanks to Day
Mhm.
of the Doctor, thanks Stephen Moffat, as we know thanks to Day of the Doctor, would have been the 11th incarnation, and regenerating in somewhere between A Stolen Earth and Journey's End would have been the 12th incarnation. And because the Doctor stopped that, essentially, with the hand, the Meta Crisis Doctor was supposed to be the Valiard, which now will never happen until the 60th, where the Valiard must happen. What if that is Neil Patrick Harris's character? That is why David Tennant is now back in that body. And what if the Doctor will eventually reabsorb the part of him that went on to become part of the Doctor Donna back into himself? Donna still gets all her memories back without danger of dying as a result of it, and the Doctor manages to confront the Valyard once and for all and eliminate that incarnation from his entire pantheon. How crazy am I for believing in that?
You're not that crazy, honestly, because I had a feeling the reason why David Tennant, when I learned that Whitaker regenerating the Tennant, I'm going, and then all of a sudden Donna's back. I'm going, okay, this has to be. I'm going. This has to be Davis tying up that loose end. This has to be him tying up, maybe finally bringing Donna back so she can get her memories back. And I'll say I did not expect for the Valyard part of Neil Patrick Harris. But then the more you're talking about it, I'm like, man, it was like, yeah, the Valyard was referenced in Time of the Doctor,
Name of the
and I'm
Doctor.
like, that character still is yet to show itself. I'm like, maybe this is it. So I kind of like that idea, or maybe yeah, maybe the Valyard, because even then in 11, the Dream Lord who we met in Amy's
Toby
Choice,
Jones.
that was also tempted to say that could have been the Valyard as well. So I kind of like the idea that Neil Patrick Harris' character could be the Valyard. So you're not that crazy. I kind of like that idea.
What if the Valyard has multiple faces, just like the Doctor? So it could be Michael Jaston or Toby Jones or Neil Patrick Harris. Who knows? The Valyard, just like the Timeless Child, is an anomaly. Now, speaking of the Matt Smith era, and this is where things get hopelessly easy for us, because there really is only one per doctor, that one departure per doctor that we can talk about. And I'm not even going to try to play that game with you anymore because we both know what's coming. We both know
Yeah.
what's coming.
This is the only one that makes sense.
Yeah. The Ponds,
Yep.
obviously. Amy and Rory Pond. And yes, that's how it works. So obviously, the episode itself, not a lot of people's favorite for certain things that happen in it, but a lot of tears were shed for some other things that have happened in this episode,
Hmm.
particularly this moment right here. And sorry, and this is really the one that breaks me the most. And then when you're finally done wiping the tears from your face, Stephen Moffat just sucker punches you again with
Ugh.
this, with seeing this tombstone, knowing that it's inevitable, and of course the inevitable moment of Raggedy Man goodbye, leading into this, the final nail in the coffin, one could say, for these two characters. What are you going to say about the Bonds?
I will say this honestly, this is the most heartbreaking of my of this. Personally, I mean, it's not. It's almost as heartbreaking as Donna, but this is definitely up there because man, the story itself, it's really honestly the story on its own is kind of bad because it's Moffat once again. He's really stretching the limits of the Weeping Angels.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it's really sad because this is one scenario where the doctor just can't do anything. I mean, he could. There were many things the doctor could do, but like doctor could have stopped Amy from going near the Weeping Angel. The doctor could have done anything, but then of course you have River right there who could have done that.
Yeah.
So honestly, to me, this was like the biggest impossible choice for the doctor. It was, and I do like that ultimately in the end, this is Amy choosing to say goodbye. Rory, unfortunately, that was stripped,
Didn't.
that was taken from him. But I do like the fact that I do like it ties back into Amy's character to where no matter how many times she travels with the doctor, how many people she meets, even that little even Vince the Doctor, it's a great episode. Even though that was the time when Rory was erased from time, Rory is so much of a part of her that she can't imagine her life without him. Not more of she has no identity without him, but Rory is someone she chooses to be with. It's been shown like in Amy's Choice, even even in the Pandorica opens, Rory comes back through Amy, via
Yeah.
Amy, and even then with my God, the episode where Amy, where there's the episode where Amy gets trapped in a different, it gets trapped in time, and there's an older Amy. I forgot the name of the episode.
Yeah, it's The Girl Who Waited,
The girl who
featuring
waited.
Imelda Staunton, as we just talked
Yes.
about at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, even in that episode, when both those Amy's, the present Amy and then the alternate future Amy talk to each other, they talk about how much Rory is so much a part of them, how much they love him. So I do like the fact that ultimately, in the end, as much as they care for the Doctor, their life is not complete without Rory. So it's very heartbreaking, but in the end, it's kind of like Amy is willing to choose to live in the past in a time to where she and Roy are gonna be living without technology. I mean, at least without their present day things. So I like that she's choosing. Yeah, they will be okay because they have each other. And then of course the episode, and then of course not the episode, but the P.S. letter with
The
Brian.
short.
Oh my God, that
Oof.
is also another tearjerker in itself. To where it's really heartbreaking in the end.
Written by Chris Chibnall. Just wanted to point that out.
Yes. It's really heartbreaking. So I do, while these departures are really sad, and we no longer get to see them again, I do enjoy the fact that this is Amy choosing for herself, as much as it's going to hurt the Doctor. And it's even one thing. It even plays on the Doctor to where he hates goodbyes. That's her last line to him: "Goodbye." And oh, the double heartbreak that it hurts on him. The fact that he's saying goodbye to a girl he met as a 12-year-old or I think. Never mind. Regardless
Never
of
mind.
age, he meets Amy as a young girl, messes up her life. Man, it really hurts. And I love the fact that River is staring at that weeping angel to have to allow the doctor to have this moment.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, it's really good.
River's really embracing her mom in that moment because she knows she wants her parents to live out the rest of their lives together. That's why
Yes.
she's not doing anything. She's not interfering. She lets Amy have that moment with the doctor so that she can go on and live her life with Rory.
Yeah, she even
And
encourages it. She even encourages it.
yeah, and she also goes ahead and writes the uh, afterword to the in the book in that episode, which the doctor ripped out the final page, and she sort of he reads a dedication from Amy, where also in real life terms, Matt Smith was just sitting there, and uh, Karen Gillan was standing right off camera reading it to him in that moment, which made the moment even doubly impactful. And also in that letter, it pretty much specifies that they never saw him again, which is why for those of you fans who still complain about why can't he just travel to another time and meet them again, she clearly specifies in the letter that they never met him, and as that episode clearly emphasizes, once you've read it, it's got to happen. So he never could meet them again, and of
Yeah.
course, obviously, the 11th Doctor had, shall we say, a rebound girl in the form of Clara Oswald. Now, I
Well,
tried. Okay, I tried. I wanted to have the 12th Doctor segment be about Nardole or Bill or even Missy.
yeah.
Better, 10 times better characters than Clara, but even I can't escape the fact that she's the 12th Doctor's signature companion.
Yep.
That's him standing right behind you in the back. So, much as I despise that character and her departure even more so, I'll just let you talk. Well, I'll just sit here in the back and just
Well,
put up these images.
I will be quick because I don't want us to take up too much time. Look, Clara, I like you. I did not like what Moffat how Moffat was introducing her. I really thought that okay, Jenna's introduced in the first episode of season 7. Okay, series 7, fine. Okay, that's not her. Oswald. Okay, and then we meet Clara. I think. No, wait. Yeah, the
Clara Oswald.
Clara Oswin. Yeah, we meet Clara Oswin in the past, the Snowmen, and then we
Yeah,
meet Then we meet present day Clara during her run with Matt Smith. I would have preferred Oswin or Clara Oswin over Clara because she honestly had no identity.
yeah,
I mean, at least with Clara Osmond, she felt established. She felt she was a barmaid, but also working as a governess. You know, that's someone who has to survive, to adapt. Already, you can see so much within her to where she can travel greatly with Matt Smith. Osmond, unfortunately, a tragic character who's clever, intelligent, has strong mental willpower to not only resist the Dalek brainwashing and conversion, but's able to, do, of course, Moffat, having to erase all the Daleks' memories of the Doctor at that time. Okay, fine.
just for him to bring up the words Doctor Who in the end of the episode.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I'm like, this is also, once again, the Daleks, they're being stretched with beyond limitation. They have human agents. I'm like, wait, what are you doing, Moffat? This is Matt Smith's series 7 was really Moffat stretching pushing the limits of these characters. I get it. Most of these modern monsters, there should be more depth to them. But there could have been other ways to find it. At least now we know where not to go with these creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I do like how she and Capaldi meld together. I liked their relationship. We do see Clara become more of an individual. We start to learn she's very flawed, especially how she idolizes wanting to be the Doctor. So when she gets that moment in Flatline, I love when Capaldi tells her You were a great doctor, but it had nothing to do with being good. Which brings up the unfortunate the dichotomy of being the doctor. In order to make tough decisions, in order to make the decisions that you normally wouldn't make, you sometimes have to be a cold person. You have to not be a good person. And of course, even before we got Flatline, we had that episode Mummy of the Orient Express where she did that stupid idea to where, okay, I'm leaving the doctor, but I'm gonna have one more adventure with you. No offense, and I like how she's called out for it. She's like, you know how you are with an ex. You're gonna say goodbye. You want to break up with them, but you want to have one more adventure with them. It's like nobody does that. Who in their right mind would do that?
Clara.
I don't know. Rose would have done that too. But yeah, we do see that with Clara. And then, of course, she gets back to the doctor and she lies to Danny Pink about that, which, Jesus Christ. Even though Danny never traveled with the doctor, I'm like, at this point, he's a cadet.
He does horrible things to Danny Pink in that season, and killing him is just one of them. That's not even the worst things that she does to him.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, but it does bring up the fact that she has control issues. She is a bit of a control freak, which is surprising how she is a teacher. So going on from there, I do like how in Series 8 we do see Clara's unfortunate decisions. I do like how with Three Waters we do see Clara at her lowest and what she believes she's owed. And then moving on then with Series 9, she gets more reckless. She thinks and it doesn't matter how many times Clara has been brought to the identity. She doesn't know much about the doctor. Yeah, you traveled into the doctor's time stream and got to save him over and over again. But that does not mean you know him.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course,
and she clearly doesn't. If you actually
pay attention, she really doesn't. But then, of course, with Capaldi's doctor, he's not doing much to curb her, to keep her at bay. No, he's honestly at times enabled her. They are in kind of the definition. They were a toxic relationship. So I do like how Series 9, the stupid idea of the hybrid, it is kind of the idea where the doctor realized we're not good for each other. I care about you deeply and truly, but we're not good for each other. So I do like the fact that I do like in Face the Raven, though, she does admit she made mistakes. She screwed up. She did something that was out that she took control of a situation she knew nothing about, which led to her death. And I like how in Heaven Sent, we get this idea of how hurt the doctor is, how unstable he is without her. But then, of course, we get fucking hellbent with Moffat bringing her back. Once again, undoing all that work. No, look, I understand in the context of Heaven Sent, this is Peter Capaldi's doctor constantly dying and then bringing himself back to life in the time dial. But did not, when Hellbent, didn't we get this idea of to where he realizes he's in this prison? Shouldn't he realize, okay, I learned I need to move on. Let me move on. Let him move on. But no, it once again brings the idea of how toxic they are to each other. So I do like the idea that that 12 has to erase his memory. Well, not his memories, but the face of Clara. He knows, he still has his adventures about her. He still knows everything about her. There's just the face is gone. Which I'm like, okay, that's a fucking cop-out. But okay, fine. Clara
that whole episode was a major cop-out. Let's be real.
It's kind of weird. But in the end, I still understand. At least with Clara, I'm finally like, okay, I am done with this stupid idea that the doctor needs some freaking romantic interest involvement with his companions. I am done with that. Can we fucking move on and get some semblance of the doctor maybe just wanting companionship, not in the romantic sense, but more in a friendly sense, like he had with Donna, just someone to travel around the world with. Or kind of like with Tu and Jamie, that they're buds, yes, traveling around the world. What's so wrong with the doctor traveling with the companion and having a platonic relationship? It's a stupid narrative that it's in everyone's heads with modern Who that the Doctor can't travel with someone unless there's some romantic tension. And I know everyone likes this, and there have been some people that are saying, "Oh, but Rose and Ten, they were like friends." No, they weren't.
They were more than friends.
It was heavily teased that there was romanticism between near, and it was damn near just confirmed by Doomsday. So, and then of course with Journey's End, if you saw the extended cut, so don't give me this whole Rose and Ten were friends bullshit. And I'm done. I'm done. But
And
but I will say her episode in Face the Raven, it is great. If that was her ending, superb. That would have been superb because this is Clara owning her mistakes, being human, understanding I fucked up. I've been trying to mimic you. I've been trying to imitate you. I'm trying to become you. And look what happened. I made a mistake and I have to own it.
yeah, and
But
to
I love
go
Jenna
back,
Coleman's portrayal. I love her portrayal
yeah,
of Clara.
Jill Coleman's great. Just the character and the way she was written was horrible. But
God.
to go back to what you said earlier about the Second Doctor and Jamie, even there, like the Doctor and Jamie, they were really good friends, but Jamie clearly had feelings for Victoria and was really upset when she left. So I think that is the best way to balance these things out. If you want to force romance into Doctor Who, that is a great way of doing it. Just having the Doctor and companions who are friends, but the companions can have romantic relationships with each other. I wonder if anyone's ever done that before. But uh, going back into Clara's departure, again, her owning up to her mistakes, that's fine. I mean, that's great. You put it perfectly. It was brilliant. Unfortunately, what also really hurts it for me is how much they dragged that departure. Her giving the Doctor orders one more time, and just how they really milked this scene on its own in a vacuum. It's a great scene. If they didn't have to milk the scene too much and make it longer and more extended. And I get it. She's been around a long time. She deserves a grand finale. She deserves a good exit, but they just really, really went overboard. Stephen Moffat went overboard with her death scene, and that wasn't even it. Like he brought her back again, and the thing that infuriates me beyond belief is that how they ended her time on the show. She's got a TARDIS of her own with a broken chameleon circuit and a human companion. It's almost as if she's the Doctor now, completely. So, like, all right, and let's very quickly
I
wrap
mean, in
this
a
up.
way, Clara Clara is Moffat's Rose because there were some deleted scenes in Journey's End to where David Tennant's Doctor 10 gives Rose a chunk of TARDIS for her to grow. So
Yeah,
at least oh my god, it's pretty much like both showrunners made the same mistake. The difference is we get to see one that got except the difference with Clara's, hers got screen time compared to Rose's where everything was just left on the cutting floor.
yeah. With Rose, it was a bit more restrained, I think, and with Clara, the Stephen Moffat really
Yeah.
banged the nail on the head. And I know you got to go really soon, so I think we should just wrap this up. Thankfully, there's not much to talk about these two characters right here, Ryan Sinclair and
There
Graham
really isn't.
O'Brien.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really isn't much to talk about. Obviously, they were last seen fighting Daleks with the 13th Doctor and Revolution of the Daleks, and they decided to leave while Yaz, the woman who was in our birthday section earlier, she decided to stay on. And one thing that I think we can say about these two is that at least they've worked on their relationship. The relationship is,
Exactly.
and I love the way that the episode itself ends. Them doing exactly the same thing they tried to do in their debut appearance without Grace, and this time they trust each other. Ryan clearly trusts his now step grandfather, and they're no longer resistant to each other. They're no longer anti one another. So
Well,
I think
in more of the situation, Ryan's less resistant to him because Graham in that episode, Graham was willing to be open, willing to accept Ryan. Yeah, Ryan's an adult, but Graham was willing to be trying to step in as a parental figure. And it well, yeah, there's not much to say about these two, but I do like how with their leaving in that episode Revolution of the Dialects, it does counteract what Jack said to Yaz, that with your time with the doctor, you don't get to choose how it ends, which is a stupid line that's been pushed. That's been almost that sums up most modern companions. They don't choose how it ends, but the ones who do get to choose how it ends, that's
Martha.
the yes.
Oh, I interrupted you during a thought, didn't I?
What?
I interrupted you during a monologue, didn't I?
No, no, no. I was going to say the ones who choose how it ends shows more character growth.
Yes. And you know what? Yasmin Khan did kind of choose how it ends. I mean, she could have stayed with the doctor after she regenerated, but she chose not to.
No.
Yeah.
And
And
and that's one thing I do appreciate with Ryan. It took maybe not just him losing his mom, but also in the first New Year's special, his dad nearly being killed by a Dalek, and
yeah,
then in series 12, one of his friends, and then of course realizing that unfortunately Whitaker's doctor's not great with time, so he ends up missing months and months of his friends' lives. So it's kind of like at this point, Ryan's going, I would love to keep going. It's just he realizes there's more for him at home than he realized. So he's willing to stay
unlike
behind.
Mickey.
Yes. And
Unlike Mickey,
just
who said there's nothing else left for him in the other universe.
yeah, I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry, but you are right. You are definitely right.
Yeah. And I think the only proper way we could end this, speaking of Graham, he set up this, the companion support group, as I call it.
Yes.
And if you look really closely, right next to Joe Grant, and I think that's Tegan on the other side, there's an empty seat. Now, some people,
Yeah.
again, you kind of have to really zoom in, but some people have pointed out that there is a laptop there. So apparently, someone who couldn't make it is there on a Zoom call. And now the rest of the unit is just trying to figure out who is on the other end of that Zoom call. I don't see a laptop myself personally. I don't know about you, but like, who do you
I think
think
that was a
would?
laptop either.
Yeah, maybe it's from a different shot because a lot of people are. I think right now the internet is split into two halves on this picture. Some people claiming that there is a laptop there with a Zoom call, and some people claiming that it's just a seat that they were saving for a companion that couldn't make it in that day. And a lot of people are just either way, whichever way you want to go, the conversation still steers the same way. Who would probably possibly be there? Who is that laptop meant for, or rather, the chair meant for? So, do you have any guesses?
Well, I know there's the top theory that everyone believes that chair is meant to be for Sarah. Um, I mean Sarah Jane.
But again, going back into that webcast that Russell T Davies did a couple of years ago, she's clearly in that universe dead. Like she kept on 10 years after Elizabeth Sladen passed away, but in 2020, Russell T made it definitive that no, that character is no longer with us in universe and outside the universe.
Okay.
So
I know Davis says that, but of course there's still those fans out there that'll keep pushing that. No, there's Sarah in universe still alive,
no,
but
to be fair to those fans, to be fair to those fans in that webcast, they end that webcast with Anjali Mohindra, who played Rani Chandra on the Sarah Jane Adventures, saying, "You know what? I don't think she's really dead. I think she's just having one final adventure with the Doctor." Which it kind of leaves the whole thing open ended.
yeah.
But I guess we as fans will never know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's plenty to speculate off of that. I mean, I don't have my theories, honestly. I think maybe it could have been an open seat for maybe Martha, maybe Jack, because Jack didn't get to meet Jodie. So it would be funny. It would
She
be,
did. She did meet Jodie.
yes. I would have liked the idea that Jack gets to meet the other companions of the past Doctor to where he gets to learn a little bit about them.
Yeah, he
Or
was
maybe
in Sarah Jane's funeral. He was there in that webcast.
yeah. Or maybe this is River's song, because even after being saved in the library, River was still able to meet other people who met the Doctor, especially when we met in Time of the Doctor. Even though she was already dead, her mind, her saved mind, was still able to meet the Pastor Nostra gang.
Yeah, and Clara in
Yes,
that
and
episode.
Clark.
And in that episode also kind of leaves things open ended, saying if I'm really dead and whatever, I can't remember the name, what she said, but
Because I was meant to leave with Clara. How can she be dead? Yeah.
yeah, but obviously, I think you pretty much got what I was going for. I'm saying not only that I want it to be, I think it should have been Martha because, and I was going to bring that up. First of all, great moment there. The original companion, Ian Chesterton, like, of course he's got to be there. Like, but this kind of brings up another point that I was about to bring up is we almost have a representative from each Doctor here. Obviously, you've got Ian, the first one. Second Doctor, there's really not much you can do for obvious reasons. But we've got the third Doctor represented here with Joel Grant. We've got Melanie. Obviously, the fourth and fifth Doctor kind of represented by Tegan. We got Melanie representing 6 and 7. Obviously, Sophie Eldred as Ace representing seventh Doctor, and obviously the Jodie's companions. We've got no representation for any of the modern Doctors aside from Jodie. So I think Martha would have been perfect. Or maybe even Mickey, because Mickey, again, he knows the ninth Doctor as well. And again, with
and
the 11th
Kate,
Doctor...
you can also technically count Kate for 11 and 12. You can technically count Kate for 11 and 12.
Yeah, 11 and 12. Oh, yeah, I suppose you do. I forgot about that. But we've got no representation for 10. Well, I guess she also met 10, but no representation for 9. So maybe Martha and Mickey would have been the perfect choice here for 9 and 10.
I do agree with that, actually. It's kind of like almost in a way a bit of a circle.
It is, yeah, it is a little circle. and I suppose I'll end this with this picture right here. I love this picture. And Jodie Whittaker was, I think she was already finished her final. Will you shut up already? I think she already finished her final scene. She recorded her final scene. That was supposed to be her day off, and she made a point to go to where they were filming this scene just so that she could hang out with all these actors and actresses. And really, in a way, it's the Doctor with her companions. Look at that. She's standing right next to William Russell right there. Like, I just love this picture so much. But yeah, clearly the other guys in the Facebook chat are kind of yelling at me to get off the StreamYard because they want to record something. So
okay, then yeah, Basu, we should end this as well. Is I think I might have to be called into work earlier to pay it on right now. But yeah, let's.
Oh no. But well, I don't want to get you into trouble, but I'm trying to.
I won't get in trouble. It's just more of like one of my supervisors might be falling ill, so it's kind of to where I may have to take on his extra abilities. So yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to find a way to work in my outro here. So obviously we've got more companions to talk about from Shuri Gatwa's era, but that is a story for another time. There we go. Nailed it. So Mr. Ryan, where can the good people find you when you're not going to your job to hopefully everything's good there, by the way?
Well, no, I love my job. It's good. Where people can find me, you can find me. I have a podcast. We don't have any new episodes out yet, but we are trying to get more new episodes out. The podcast is called, well, first off, if you are a fan of wrestling or wrestling content, my podcast is called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages Podcast. I co-host with two of my buddies, James Shimo and Brenton McPherson. Now we don't have a release schedule when we release these episodes, so it's not like, oh, you can listen to them every Thursday or every Wednesday. No, we release them when we do. And you can follow us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. That's where the platforms are where they're mainly available on. we have our old playlist of episodes, but we are trying to record new episodes so we can get more content coming out. But life gets in the way, so we want to be able to do it more often. But we have jobs, we have other personal responsibilities. But even then, we still love talking about wrestling. And if you love talking about wrestling, check out our episodes. If you like them, maybe leave a comment on some of the platforms, on maybe some ideas for future episodes.
All right. Anything else?
Well, of course, nothing to find me on, but I'm pretty sure you might end this well too. I mean, the reason I pitched this idea to you was talking about Doctor Who companions, and of course, you did mention, of course, we did talk about this in our first episode of the Classics. We did this in honor of Ben Rayner, one of our buddies. You definitely got to hang out with him a lot more than I did, but even when I first met him with our show Mount Schmodown, which the episodes are still available on the Northern Entertainment Group YouTube channel, and even our old YouTube channel, Mount Schmodown, is still active, so you can check those out too. I had a lot of fun getting to work with him, to collaborate with him, and just getting to talk with him. And while I did pitch an idea in our group chat about doing a future series, like episodes on Phase 4 of Marvel MCU, and he was someone who responded who would love to have done that. That was like one of my last times talking to him. His response of wanting to be part of that project. And now knowing that whenever I do want to get this back up and running, or at least put this forward, I was even putting together a pitch to do something on his channel. And knowing that he's gone, I'm not going to be able to do this with him. I mean, kind of like in a way, like with what Wilford would say about Donna. Donna would look out in the stars and realize that something's missing. That's what I'm going to start thinking about now. Every now and then when I'm talking about geek stuff or Doctor Who, I'm going to have this feeling that something's missing.
Yeah, and when you look at the stars, the great kings of the past will look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you, and so will Ben. But if you're serious about doing that thing on his channel, I can put you in touch with Dawn and Midnight and the other people from his channel. Maybe you can talk to them about doing that in his honor. So that's my contribution to the world on that front. As for me, you can find me on this channel. Right now, that is the only show that I'm doing on this channel, the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Hopefully, I'm planning to bring this back to Mondays, starting from next month, but also very, very soon. We already announced it in the big stream that all of us did for Ben earlier this month. Me and Soda have another show planned called Fun with Flags. No idea when we're going official with that one, but you can still catch me on Great Show in the Galaxy, and I'll pop up on other shows on the Benverse, as we're now calling it. Benverse is a kind of sort of a conglomeration of different channels, including ours, the Northern Entertainment Group, Taco's channel, Something to Talk About, as well as Ben's channel, Multiverse of Geekdom, and A-Town Reviews, Movie Lovers Unite, Midnight Cinema, and Galaxy Geeks, and also my channel, 50 Shades of Geek. I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way up to 2022, and occasional other stuff whenever I have time to. And I did a bunch of reactions last week, so highly recommend checking those out. Now, thank you all for watching. If you have, I will be back next episode again. No idea when I know when I'm taping another one, but I'm not sure when it will be uploaded. So until then, everybody, allons-y, I suppose. Good way to end
Geronimo.
Yeah, Geronimo, exactly. Goodbye, everyone.